I look forward to working with you and all of our colleagues on the committee. And thank you, Mr. Bessent, for being here. Congratulations on your nomination and for your willingness to serve, and welcome to your husband and children as well. We are grateful for their willingness to share you with the country. I appreciate you meeting with me in this process and sharing your priorities at Treasury if you are confirmed. And I want to follow up on some of those topics today. I also just want to associate myself with the comments of my colleagues, Senator Bennett and Senator Warner. I certainly believe we need to cut taxes for working people, and we need to make sure the wealthiest pay their fair share. And with regard to Senator Warner's comments on sanctions, you mentioned if Vladimir Putin is watching this hearing. He's not the only one watching this hearing. China is watching this hearing, and we have talked about the importance of making sure that we are not only competitive but outperforming China for economic purposes as well as for national security reasons. And as important as a resolution in Ukraine is, history tells us that appeasing tyrants at the expense of freedom fighters never works. And it is critically important not only for the Ukrainian people and for the freedom of all of us, but it is important because China and North Korea are also watching what we do and watching this hearing and how we will go forward imposing sanctions. To turn to some of the topics that we discussed when we met in my office, the research and development tax deduction was one of them. It's critical to helping us outcompete countries like China. Currently, China provides a 200% super deduction for R&D, while American businesses can only immediately deduct 10% for R&D. I've worked with Senator Young on a bipartisan effort to restore the full and immediate R&D deduction. So do you support restoring the full and immediate R&D deduction? Will you work with me and my colleagues to get this across the finish line in Congress?
Senator, I enjoyed the meeting in your office. I am not fully versed in this, but my inclination is that this is something that I would support, and I will get back to you, if confirmed. I will get back to you very quickly on it, and we'll make it a priority. Do
you agree it's an important tool for American companies to improve their competitiveness?
Yes, Senator.
Thank you. One of my other top priorities is working on a bipartisan basis to lower costs for families. Under President-elect Trump's policies, do you believe that prices for families will go up or down?
I believe that inflation will be much closer to the Federal Reserve's target of 2%. And I believe that what we have seen over the past few years is that the bottom two income quintiles have a very different basket of goods and services. So there are two ways. We can either lower cost or we can get real wages up. I would hope that we would be able to do both.
So you believe that President Trump's policies will further increase wages and lower inflation?
I believe that they will increase real wages and lower inflation closer to the Federal Reserve's 2% target as it did during President Trump's first administration.
Are there any specific policies proposed by the President-elect that you expect will increase prices for families?
There's nothing I can immediately think of.
So that's a no. If the President-elect were to propose a policy that you believe will increase prices, would you advise against it?
I would speak to President Trump about it. It is his decision, and I believe that we think that if we look back, that it is a complete composite return in terms of aggregate inflation numbers, and I think it's very difficult.
Well, I have limited time, so if you believe that a policy that is proposed by President Trump would increase prices, would you advise him against doing it? Yes or no?
I can't answer that question because it's a hypothetical.
All right, let's move on to when we met prior to the hearing, you told me that President Biden was responsible for increased prices over the past 4 years, something we can litigate, but I don't want to right here. By the same token, I assume you would agree that if prices increase in the next 4 years, President-elect Trump would be responsible.
I think there could be a variety of reasons. I think that it could be We will see the policies of the Federal Reserve, the spending policies. Congress sets the spending policies.
So, look, I'm going to cut to the chase because I'm out of time. But at the end of the day, what you're articulating is a double standard, and it's disappointing to me. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Senator Daines.
Chairman, thank you. Mr. Bessent, good to have you here this morning. I think what we're seeing here in this committee is we really